Hello, hello, friends and family. Thanks for tuning in to tonight's Thursday Night Thought. I am so excited to share this week's message with you because it is all about receiving a blessing. Do you know what that means? Are you ready to receive a blessing, or have you already received a blessing and not even realized it? This message is going to bring some deep awareness. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. There are defining moments when your spiritual nature is connected to your physical body, a coat of many colors. This blessing may come through a person, place, or thing, or from within your own heart. Receive this outward symbol of mercy and benefits so there remains little doubt with regard to your identity. Powerful words. So many of you shared this message on Monday and felt the power of these words. Are you ready to experience its application? I mean, I am just on fire right now. Okay, so this idea of this message that there are defining moments when your spiritual nature is connected to your physical body, it's an outward expression. That's the blessing. You receive it and you are made aware of your identity. When I received this message, I saw a vision of this coat of many colors, and it took me back to my Sunday school days when I learned about Joseph and the coat of many colors. For those of you who aren't aware of it, it's found in Genesis chapter 37 in the Bible. I am not a theologian, but I am a messenger, and so I like to share how these messages come in so that it brings more sustenance to the message. So this idea, and again, this is my understanding of the Bible, but my understanding is that this Old Testament was an Abrahamic covenant. There were certain individuals that were chosen by God to have a relationship with God spiritually and live it physically with spiritual gifts in their world. This is not something that everybody got to have an experience of, only chosen individuals. And in this experience, they then passed it down to generations to follow. This blessing was something that was passed down through generations. So for Isaac, he was passing a blessing on to his son Joseph. He had 12 sons. He chose Joseph as the one to receive the blessing, and he made him this coat of many colors. And what's the significance of that? Well, basically in those days, people wore sheepskin. It was white, it was brown, it was drab, and only royalty could really afford to be able to dye the wool and to make a coat like that. And so this was an outward expression to Joseph of his spiritual nature, okay? And the blessing being passed down, that he was the one that was in relationship with God. So what happened in this moment is Joseph was made aware of his gifts. He was a dreamer and he could interpret dreams. He could interpret his own dreams and he could interpret others' dreams. And so because his father recognized this, he gave him this coat, and now the whole world knows that these are his gifts, and he is dang sure of his identity in that moment. Okay, so let's pause the story for a moment, because where in your life have you been made known what your spiritual gifts are? Did you receive an outside blessing, an outward expression of what this is? Maybe it was in recognition, maybe it was a gift, maybe it was something you received or created for yourself. Whatever it might be, person, place, or thing. You were made aware of this, or maybe you haven't been made aware of this yet. And this is the starting point, is knowing what your spiritual gifts are and then receiving the blessing. So maybe you're at a point where you need to receive, be open to receive. And what does that even mean? And in Joseph's case, he wore the coat. He wore it proudly. He received it, even when it made others around him feel uncomfortable, because as we all know, he marches into his family. He's had this dream and he says, one day you are all going to bow down to me. And I can only imagine his family looking at him like, dude, you just got the coat and now you're telling us that you're going to rule the world. Please, can we just lay off of this for a while, right? Like, they're jealous, they're angry, they're plotting to kill him, all of these different things. And Joseph is still convinced throughout his entire story, being sold to the Egyptians, going to jail, ending up in a situation that looked completely hopeless, he still manifests that dream of eventually his family does bow down to him, and he ends up saving them from starvation and all of these different things. Amazing story. But this story plays out in all of our lives because we now all have the opportunity to have a spiritual relationship with God and receive those spiritual gifts. So where in your world, number one, are the spiritual gifts? Where have they shown up where you have received an outward blessing? Are you getting ready to receive? Just opening yourself by the awareness of this message. And in that, knowing your identity. There's power in that, because here's the deal. Joseph's coat ended up getting stained with blood and torn, and we don't know if he ever got his coat back. It wasn't about the outward expression, okay? It was about the recognition outwardly and inwardly of his spiritual gifts. Big stuff, right? So where's that showing up in your life, and how can you apply this story to your life? It's inspiring and encouraging. So may you have an incredible week opening to receive whatever this message is meant to convey to you. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to sharing our next Thursday Night Thought together.